Hey there, welcome to the Moving Yourself Essentials video. It's part one of a series that I hope to put together for this project. This one's just going to cover moving yourself and a lot of the things that you need to know when you decide to move. And there's a ton of resources out there. I know, not trying to compete with any of them. This is just what I learned in 10 years of running a moving company. And so I know moving is horrible, but I can tell you the only thing worse than moving is running a moving company. Okay? I might share some stories about that in this video. I'm not sure. Anyway, this just covers the basics. There's probably a ton more to know and learn about, but it's all hard-won knowledge. Okay? So follow these principles. You'll have as fast and cheap a move as possible. Why am I doing this? Why am I giving away this information for free? Because I dedicated a quarter of my life to it, and I hate for it to be completely unused. But that is one reason. That is a legitimate reason. But it's also because I have a habit, a very bad habit. I like to start businesses and grow companies and build systems, and that takes money. And having seen what private lenders can do, or even banks can do to a small business struggling to get by, I don't want to ever take a loan again. So I'm promoting used cardboard boxes. It's a service that I promoted back when I ran my company. I had a box rental company, which never really got off the ground. I made my own boxes and sold them, and that was just basically a break even at best. And so I went back to used cardboard boxes and started recommending them to all my customers. And the feedback was great. People loved it. It was free delivery. The boxes were adequate. They were decent. And they didn't have to run all over town and go to liquor stores and stuff like that. So when I promote them, if people go by there, I get a small commission. So full disclosure. And so if you want to help small business and how small business helps others, please consider buying. If you have any questions, you can get in touch with me at truckbud@gmail.com. Cheers. Happy moves. So you're thinking about moving yourself? Cool. Here's some things to think about. First thing you're going to have to ask yourself is, are you ready for it? Okay. Moving is hard. I've done a couple thousand myself, and I can tell you that if I hadn't needed to, and feed my growing family in a crisis situation, I wouldn't have started a moving company to do it. I hate it. Moving is terrible. Fortunately, I was in relatively good shape just by virtue of being younger. And ironically, during the moving years, the only time I ever threw out my back was when I stepped out of my wife's low-slung Nissan Sentra. I twisted my back just so, and I was out for a week. So anyway, I won't belabor the point. Basically, if the heaviest thing you've moved in the last few years is an Xbox controller, you might want to get some help. Speaking of which, how's your social life? Do you have any friends who can help? If so, great. You are blessed to be able to have those friends you can call, and they'll come help you move. And it's the greatest thing in the world. Unfortunately, we live in DC, where even though our social networks are pretty big, everybody is so absolutely busy. You're going to know your situation best. If you've got help, great. Just make sure you feed your friends and maybe even throw them a couple of bucks. Speaking of good friends, here's a quick story. So back, wasn't that long ago, it was last year, it was in 2018, I had some genius employees who decided to try to get onto the Andrews Air Force Base with drug paraphernalia in their stuff, right? There's extra security. We talked about this for months in advance with these guys. Not even thinking about drugs or anything like that, but just like be ready, you be ready for scrutiny, whatever. Utterly didn't listen. Anyway, long story short, they tried to get onto the base, they couldn't. So I had a customer stranded with a truck full of stuff. It was a 26-foot truck, and I had nobody to do the job. It was all my other employees were either off or done for the day. I put the word out to my friends. I had a few friends respond, and they came out and legitimately helped get the job done, right? This was 8 or 9 o'clock at night. It was definitely the sit back and relax portion of the evening. They left, they came out and helped me and did the job. So if you have friends like this, do not hire movers. You are golden if you've got that. So let's get right down to it. What you really want to know is how much it's going to cost to move yourself. So let's talk about it. Here's the too long didn't read version. Costs can vary, but ultimately, the better you prepare, the more money you're going to save. Okay? Doesn't matter if you use movers or do it yourself or whatever. Proper preparation is key. And I don't just mean, getting the right boxes and all that kind of stuff. First off, moving trucks. Okay? If you're moving farther than, say, across the street, you're going to need a truck. And don't be fooled. If you are moving like just within a distance, like you can see where you're headed, you can see like I'm just moving across the street or I'm going around the corner or something like that. You might think, oh, we'll just walk all the big heavy items or we'll roll them on a dolly or something. That's definitely doable, but the safety is an issue, and of course safety for your items. But it will add time. It takes a ton of time. So it's kind of that old question, time or money. Do you get a truck or no? Do you value your time, or are you trying to save money, or what's the deal? The point is, most of the time, you're going to need a truck. Okay, so the rates can vary quite a bit during the year. Usually, peak summertime, it's going to be more expensive. So if you call a rental company and they say it's $100, that may change the next time you call. So if you're calling around one day, you say you call at noon, and then you call at 2 o'clock and decide to go with XYZ company, the rates may in fact have already changed. Okay. In fact, I did that. It was around July 1st. I think I've got a slide coming up here about that, but it was around July 1st. I was just pricing out different companies. And I talked to one rep and I asked her, how long would these rates be good? And she said, well, if you call back in 15 minutes, it could be changed. There's not going to be a clear winner on price alone, but here's a couple that you're going to want to take a look at. U-Haul is usually the go-to place. It's like we used to say Xerox for copy, or like Texans say Coke for every soft drink. U-Haul is the standard, but they are by no means the only one out there. There's a ton of companies out there. Their smaller 15-foot truck is what I asked for in early July. And there we go. And it was about $95 for a one-way move. That means from you rent at point A and you drop it off at point B. Okay. That included 41 miles, and it was 40 cents a mile after that. Okay. If I opted for the optional insurance, it was an additional $15 to $25. So I assumed that I would want to get packing blankets. I'm not going to use my nice duvet or my wife's favorite blankets or anything like that. So they were $10 for a dozen, and I would want at least 2 dozen. Their 26-foot truck, if I wanted to get all the space I could, all in with everything included, was about $125. Okay, plus applicable taxes and fees. Then there's going to be gas, however much gas you use. I called Budget too. Budget had similar rates. All in, it was about $135 for a 15-foot truck one way, and it was about $200 for a larger truck. Now, when I told them that I would be picking up and dropping off at the same location for the big truck, that price dropped down to $83 for a larged truck returned. Okay, typo. Here's what happens when you go fast. So if you can pick up and drop off, which is the case for most local moves, you're going to save a lot of money. But okay, so if the price is comparable across the board, what might put one above the other? For me, it was customer service. Okay, rental companies don't have to do anything incredible. They just have to be able to provide the service that they advertise. In this case, they have to be able to keep the reservations. The one that I found that did most often was Penske. Okay, I'd rent from anybody when I first started my moving company, but the one that had the trucks available the most often, the one that actually knew how to keep the reservations, was Penske. I rented hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of trucks from them over the years, and all in all, it was a good experience. I mean, there were snafus, busy Saturday mornings in August, stuff like that. All the contractors, us, all the individuals renting trucks, sometimes they just didn't have one, but it was so rare. Whereas with U-Haul, I'd rent on a Wednesday morning in February, and the truck or trailer that I needed, they wouldn't have it. I'm not trying to knock U-Haul, and I don't get a dime from Penske. I'm just telling you my experience. So You'll be standing there in the rental office and looking at all their supplies. What do you need? Well, I'll get into supplies in a second, but typically blankets are something that you can just rent from the company. So, and I absolutely recommend getting them. You can use your own blankets. Maybe you've got a lot of blankets and towels. Maybe you don't have a lot of furniture you really want to protect. That's cool. But if you do want the maximum protection, spare blankets are great. Now, the ones that you're going to get from the rental places are going to look more like this. Okay, you can get stuff like this from New Haven Moving Supply, and you can buy blankets like this from Home Depot. But in general, these are going to be like the professional grade, and this is what you're going to get at places like U-Haul. Okay, most people underestimate how many they're going to need. I would get at least 2 dozen. Better to have a few extras rather than not having enough and having some critical piece that needs to be protected. To give you an idea, a professional moving company can go through 30 or more for a 1-bedroom apartment. We did it all the time. And the blankets professional companies use are wider and thicker than a typical rental company's. So that's why I say with these smaller ones, you want to aim high. It just in general, if you can afford it, go big and go high on the quantity of everything. Another way to gauge how many you need, I would recommend using our 1-bedroom apartment example, at least 2 dozen, maybe 3 dozen for a 2-bedroom apartment. One good rule of thumb is a dozen for every 5 square feet of space in your home. Okay, and these are going to be somewhere between $10 and $15 per. Now, should you get the insurance? That's always the thing. You're standing at the counter, you've got a line of impatient people behind you, maybe some grumpy contractors and professionals, and they're like, "Do you want to get the supplemental insurance? You know, we're not going to pay. You're going to pay for it if you wreck anything." I would just say if you have any doubt about your renters or homeowners insurance, get the supplemental insurance from your truck rental company. I know you're pinching pennies right now, but if you blow out, if you blow out the box of your truck, you could be paying thousands. Now, this is one of my trucks, right? This cost me about $3,000. This is an example of what happens when a driver hits an overhanging branch at less than 25 miles per hour. Now, it looks like something exploded from the inside, so I'm not even sure how that happened, but I saw the branch later, and yeah, that definitely took a chunk out of it. And it wasn't the first time with this driver, but it was definitely the last. So, anyway, your personal auto policy may cover rental trucks, so it's important to find out before you're standing at the rental counter and a stressed out employee is waiting for you to make a decision. Okay, so what kind of insurance is there? Well, we've got 4 main types. All right, there's damage waivers, supplementary liability insurance, personal accident and cargo protection, and tow protection. Damage waivers. A truck rental company's damage waiver protects against any damage to the truck or theft of the truck. Okay? If the rental company offers a PDW policy, then the person renting the truck won't be financially responsible for covering the damage. If the damage waiver is a limited damage waiver policy, then the renter may be responsible for up to $500 worth of damage. After that, the truck rental company will cover the rest. Supplemental liability insurance. If you hit another vehicle, okay, bad day, the SLI will come in quite handy. The insurance policy protects the person renting the moving truck from claims made against them. However, SLI policies often have certain exclusions and exceptions, so be sure to read up on the policy terms beforehand. Also, you should know that the max amount that the SLI covers is typically up to $1 million. Personal accident and cargo protection. This type of truck rental insurance protects you and your belongings while inside the truck. There are exceptions, of course. For instance, this type of protection doesn't typically cover damage caused by theft or shifting cargo, so just be sure to read up on the specifics of that policy. And finally, auto tow protection. This plan helps cover damage done to the vehicle while being transported to its destination. Okay, if you're not towing, that you definitely don't need that. All right. The number one thing that I told all of my customers and clients over the years is that good preparation will equal a cheaper move. Now, for you, you're not going to see as much. You're not going to see quite the financial benefits of moving yourself by being prepared. However, if time is close to currency for you, then being prepared is going to save you a ton of time. Okay, and this is not just me selling boxes here. This is legitimately true. I could show up to 2 different one-bedroom apartments in a day. If the first one-bedroom apartment read my moving guide and did everything in there, they would have everything boxed, bagged, disassembled, ready to go near the exit so we could just come in, grab the stuff, and go. And then in the afternoon, we might have a customer who decided to start packing the day before and then quit. And I'm looking at piles of junk all over the place. Okay, the first one-bedroom apartment took 2.5 hours. The next one could take 6 hours because we're just walking armloads of stuff, or we might be just dumping it into a sea bin or something like that. Well, you get my point, all right? So proper preparation takes a little bit of time, but it's well worth it. So you need supplies. Where do you get them? So a lot of people go to liquor stores, especially in the DC area. And that's fine. You'll get a lot of differently sized boxes, though, and that might end up causing a new problem, which is extending the Tetris time trying to make everything fit. So you can see all the different size boxes here, and a lot of these aren't going to fit a lot of your stuff. I've probably done 500 moves where they just went down to the liquor store, and this is what the back of the truck looked like. It may not seem like it's going to add a lot of time, but if you've got a full load and maybe not as much truck space as you need, you're going to have to pack super efficiently. That means no more than 2 or 3 different size boxes. If every box is a different size and shape, it's going to take you a lot longer. Okay. If you're going to a rental place, or Home Depot or something like that, they've got all the moving supplies and it's fine. But in my experience, and this is my honest opinion here, these boxes are the cheapest of the cheap. They'll fall apart under just a little bit of use, or they're also likely to compress or crush if you have a number of heavy items. And here's the thing, you're going to pay full price for them too. And of course, you can always go down and raid your loading dock or the dumpsters in your apartment building if that's what you're moving out of. But 2 words, bed bugs, right? It's a big problem in the DC area. I only ran into it a couple times in the 10 years I was doing this. The first time I made the guys strip outside the shop before coming in just to see how awkward I could make it. So I had 3 naked dudes, nearly naked dudes, standing outside on the dock, between the trucks, trying not to get noticed. And they drove home that way. It was embarrassing. But this is, in the industry, they call bed bugs a business killer. Okay, there's the last company I worked for, the guy, he called it a business killer because there's no way to actually kill them. You go get the sprays and the powders and everything else, and they don't work. That's what he said. But I did bomb the heck out of my truck and park it in the hot sun. So anyway, the absolute best resource I had for customers was used cardboard boxes. Okay, cool thing about this service is that they buy factory misprints, overruns, or unused customer returns, and then sell those back. And one cool thing about it is you save a lot of trees. Okay, to make one box takes like a whole tree or something. I mean, it's insane. Sometimes these companies will order way more than they need, or there will be a misspelling, which is clearly easy to do, and they just don't need these boxes. So they're not used per se. They were manufactured, and then UCB comes in and buys them and resells them. So anyway, if you're like me and time is your most precious resource, then the convenience of their box kits is actually pretty awesome. You don't have to go hunting around town for boxes, going dumpster diving, or figuring out how many you'll need for your place. You just click the size of your home on their website, and they'll give you the right number of boxes and deliver them in 1 to 2 business days. Okay, pretty cool. For example, here's their 1-bedroom apartment kit. Okay, 18 mediums, 10 larges, and 4 extra larges. You get about 50 sheets. No, it's about 100 sheets of paper with 6 pounds. And you get a couple tape rolls, cutters, markers. Maybe you have some of that stuff floating around your house, but it's nice to get it all in one kit right there. Okay. So I priced these out. Here's the kit. We're going to go off that 1-bedroom kit with the 18 mediums, 10 larges, etc. Okay. For an equivalent kit at Home Depot, we're looking at $79.95. Okay, all the same stuff. Now, extra space, they're everywhere. That's a huge go-to source for a lot of people. But this blew me away when I priced out exactly what you get with this kit. It was twice as much, almost twice as much. Okay, $148 for an equivalent kit, and that's you going down there. Both of these, you're going there. This does not include free delivery. So I was already a big fan of used cardboard boxes, but when I looked at these prices and what the 1-bedroom kit is, I mean, I knew it was $76, but I was shocked that it came in under these other two main sources with free delivery. So pretty awesome. All right, so ratcheting tie-down straps. These are right up there on the level of duct tape for a resource that you'll want for just about everything. So I really wouldn't bother with anything else. Okay, these are what you use for securing items in the truck. String or twine or rope or whatever. Okay, they'll work, not a problem. But bungee cords stretch too much unless you wrap them multiple times around whatever the item is, or stretch them to the breaking point. I actually had one snap and leave a scar under my left eyebrow. I was strapping something down. I was on a really tough, long, hot job, and so I was strapping something down with bungee cords because I was still using bungee cords like an idiot at the time, like a noob, and it broke free. It came out and hit me so hard, it rang my bell. I mean, I was down. I was on the ground, and I put my hand up like this, and blood just started oozing out of my hand. I thought, oh man, my baby boy, my first child, he's not going to know a father without an eye patch. I'm going to be pirate dad. Anyway, so it turns out it just sliced right here. When it hits the bone, those are the bleeders, and it was okay. But I've never used bungee cords since. Two reasons. Number one, they don't work as well as ratchet straps. Number two, I hate it when my dad is right. He says, if you're not careful, you're going to lose an eye. And he's usually talking about me and my brother getting into BB gun fights and stuff like that. But I wasn't careful, and I almost lost an eye. Your mileage may vary. Twine or rope is definitely strong enough for a lot of things, but unless you're a sailor and have your knots down, it could be a pain. Consider getting these. Generally $15 for a 4-pack is a good thing. So, in fact, let me show you how to use them real quick. All right, so I picked the worst possible day for a demonstration of any kind. Windy, bright light, cold. Okay. There are two parts to your ratcheting tie-down straps. Okay. What I call the buckle, don't know if it's called that, but that's what we always called it. And of course, the strap itself. They come in lengths of anywhere between 8, 12, 10, 15, 16, a lot. Just go 12s. That's what we used for years, ideally, if we could find them. Sometimes we had to compromise, but that's that. So basically, all you need to do with these things, this is the beauty of it, so you're not tying. Okay, all I'm doing is unraveling it right now. Okay. You take your buckle, and I like to have this little slot here facing out. You can see, I hope you can see this. If you open and close it a few times, that will turn that slot, okay? I like it right there, so I can take the end and just put it right through there like that, okay? Grab it, pull it. Usually by now, I've already hooked the end into the rail or whatever it is that I'm hooking it up to. I mean, I've used these things for everything from, of course, moving to laundry. I had to dry my laundry once. I had a broken washing machine and dryer. Anyway, what I want to do right now is pull all the slack out of it, okay? I haven't hooked this end up yet, okay? I haven't hooked it up over here because I like the freedom of movement to be able to move around the truck wherever I need. I'm holding on to one side of it so it doesn't all, come out. Man, I really hope you can see this, but I haven't strapped it in yet. Various reasons for that. Just trust me on that. You don't want to strap this end in until you've connected these pieces. Otherwise, you could have a restricted area, small workspace, and you just can't get in there. Just trust me. It makes sense. Okay, so now I'm going to go and hook it up on this side. Like I said, this is not Spielbergian quality. I'm not going for any awards. Just trying to be helpful. Lock that. Okay. Now, I'll take the other end, put it in there. And by the way, if you've seen this before and you're going, why am I watching this video? Well, if you've done this, you obviously know how to do this, okay? But I've had professional movers ask me how to do it over the years, tons of times. So, for me it's second nature, but first time it's not for a lot of people. Okay, so now you want to take all your slack out. Okay? The reason being, if it's really loose like this, right? You've got all this. When you start ratcheting it, if you're going to tighten up all that slack over there, all that slack right there, you're going to get a wad of strap like that big, right? And it's going to be impossible to take loose. It might not even secure it like you want to, okay? So pause for a second here, undo that. Okay, so take all the slack out, and then really just a few cranks of the thing makes it nice and tight. You don't have a big ball in there, right? It's good and tight. Okay? Now, tricky part, how to get it undone. Okay, the sort of tricky part to this is getting it undone. It's really tight now, all right? So people will think, okay, they usually have a lever like this right here. You turn that, or you pull that in, sort of like squeeze it in, squeeze. Keep holding it in while you open it, okay? Now, a lot of times it just gets stuck right here. And people are like, oh no, I gotta cut my strap. Well, you wanna keep squeezing that, okay? Oh, that did it perfectly well. Okay. There's also this one. This is often missed as a piece of equipment. So if it's really stuck and you can't get it unhooked, you push them both this direction and then you pull out, okay? Or you can pull up or whatever. Then you hold this and close it so it doesn't ratchet it down again. And you just pull it loose. Like so. Okay? So that's it. I hope it was helpful. It's obviously, not the best quality in the world, but I've spent hours setting up lights and everything for shots that take 5 seconds, and we're not doing that today. If you have any questions about how to do the strap, you can contact me with the contact info at the end. Cheers. So how long does it take to move your place? Okay. Well, here's the numbers I was tracking over the years, and it's almost like there's a law of the universe that said this is how long it's going to take, because these stayed consistent through the years. So a single room, if you're just moving like a bed, dresser, a couple of nightstands, 2 to 3 hours. Studio apartment, well, about the same, 2 to 3 hours. 1-bedroom apartment, 3 to 4 hours. We were averaging actually 2 hours and 3/4 for a long time at that peak of our efficiency. If you have a 1-bedroom apartment with a den, could take up to 3 to 5 hours, because these dens tend to be the stuff collectors, okay? 2-bedroom apartments, up to 4 to 6 hours. And if you have a 2-bedroom apartment plus den, we're looking at 5 to 7 hours. The 2-bedroom apartments, for some reason, they were the wild card. They were usually all over the map. The data points were, sometimes we do it in an hour and a half, sometimes it would take 9 hours. It really was wild. But on average, somewhere between 4 to 6 for an average 2-bedroom apartment. So I hope that was helpful. If it wasn't, let me know. Send me an email. Or maybe there will be a commenting feature somewhere under this. I'm legitimately trying to help people out here. I want you to go buy used cardboard boxes, but I'm legitimately trying to help out. I've done this so long that there's just no mystery to it for me. And I know a lot of my customers were freaking out and stressed out and putting a lot of burden on themselves that they really didn't have to. So there you go. And like I said, if you have any questions, get in touch. truckbud@gmail.com. Cheers.